Hello and welcome to Zelda Speedruns. Today we are pleased to bring you a Link to the Past Randomizer Crossworld Keysanity tournament match. It is Winners Bracket Round 2 and we have Hitsuyan versus tstew, the number 5 seed versus the number 28 seed. And I am joined today on commentary by Clearmouse and DHStom. And how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Very much looking forward to this race. How are you doing, DHStom?
I'm doing great. Yeah,
I'm going to mute.
I am very much looking forward to seeing what this seed has for us. We had a pretty fun seed earlier today, and I'm hoping that tonight's activities are also pretty fun, a little bit trolly, you know?
We will be starting in just about a minute. So I will talk to you later. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So is there anything in particular you would love to see in today's seed?
I'm always a big fan of bunny shenanigans, but I'm only probably saying that from a viewer's perspective. For these guys, if they want to do well in the race, chances are they probably want to find that moon pearl as soon as possible to be more efficient.
Right. So let's hope that doesn't happen. Fun seed for all of us, except for the runners. They'll be fine.
Actually, so longtime viewers of Hitsu might notice that he is not using his normal Dark Link sprite. As of about 2 days ago, there was a new patch release version of the ALttPR randomizer, v31.0.5, and along with that update, I believe there was a Hitsuyan1337 sprite that was newly released. So I certainly cannot fault Hitsuyan for taking his namesake sprite here.
Indeed. Meanwhile, tstew going with the classic Link sprite. Can't go wrong with the original. Yeah, the Hitsuyan, I believe, is a one-piece sprite.
Yeah, so if you ever get a chance to give these runners a follow and go to, in this case, specifically Hitsuyan's Twitch page, you will probably likely see very quickly that why this is exactly Hitsuyan's sprite.
Indeed.
All right, looks like we are off.
And we have immediate divergence.
Finding a swamp, map to swamp in Link's house, and is that a key? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so these starting openings are pretty common for our runners. I think Hitsu's common start is out of Link's house. Normally takes the portal here south to try and fake flipper to go visit the potion shop. This is usually like kind of the out of way location, and then what he'll most likely do is check this entrance, fake flipper back to the useless fairy cave, and then drop down potentially to do hula hand.
Meanwhile, tstew finds the big key to Desert Palace on that pyramid where it started. Also kind of a relief with that sanctuary coming out of the pyramid. That means that you don't actually necessarily have to go to Ganon's Tower in order to open that up for anything. Anyone who was watching earlier knows that sometimes that's required.
Yeah, we see Hitsu finding Eastern Palace, actually. It's certainly very nice always to find a dungeon. And certainly probably early on because it is kind of an out of the location. I certainly would be very curious to see what Eastern Palace has. They certainly could have very much progression. Certainly in this tournament, there have been at least one race kind of decided whether or not players want to dip Eastern early or not. It looks like both players are going to do the same thing. So.
Yep. Well, just 10 hours so far. No bow to fire that with, so we are still just going along.
Yeah, and as you mentioned that the sanctuary spot is actually where the pyramid could be actually quite convenient for our runners. Typically, to get to the pyramid in a more standard way is somewhat inconvenient. Despite it being kind of in the center of the Hyrule map. So to have a connector, or in this case a starting location to be the pyramids, actually can be quite efficient.
Indeed.
I did see on Hitsu's side picking up a small key to Hyrule Castle. Certainly convenient. That means they don't have to save scum the key that they get off the guard.
Very convenient. Once they find that Hyrule Castle, of course.
Yes. Yeah. So part of Cross Key's fun, right, is to be able to figure out and find and discover where all the locations are.
Absolutely. So obviously with this, it is a full Keysanity. So they do not actually have the big key yet for Eastern Palace. So Hitsu is going to go ahead and go through with the Dark Room, pretty much the easiest Dark Room in the game. Don't blame him whatsoever for that. And after that, barring the miraculous big key find, probably going to be done with this.
Hitsu does have to be a little careful here. He will have to pick up these extra hearts to make because normally what you do is you would try damage boost off of the anti-fairy to get the to hit the switch instead of having to kind of go the intended way here of activating killing all the enemies to get the anti-fairies to disperse. But he might be a little short on health here, so he might have to do this a long way.
He's trying to farm the enemies, and is at least getting some bombs out of that, which is the first bombs in the game so far. But yeah, definitely needs that third heart. Actually, it seems like he might just be coming in and out. Yep, just to kill the enemies, not even worrying about the damage boost. And we are rewarded with our second key to pod. That's already starting to say we might be dipping early into pod once we find it.
Unfortunate. I guess mismanagement of health or on Tisu's side. That was that is certainly not easy to do on 3 parts like that.
Not at all. And Tstew is going to leave that pod key behind for now, and we'll find out if that makes a difference or not.
So certainly, hugely getting a lot of keys early on can certainly be an indication that that is probably where you want to go. Given that it was a second pod key, it because pod has so many small keys, it's probably not as harmful as maybe getting missing, let's say, like the swamp small key.
Of course, logic requires you to have all 6 pod keys in order to progress. I'm gonna pause that thought because we've found the well, and within it we have found a bow.
Why not just head right back over there to Eastern? Oh, but of course we still need the big key.
Okay.
Oh, a bow and a sword and a lamp. Wow, what a well.
That is very well, as in health. Indeed. But it also seems like we are a Eastern big key away from just a full clear of that dungeon at this point. And both are going to go ahead and hula hand and get some rupees.
Especially for cross keys, early resources can actually make or break your early route. This is somewhat different than what I guess like a non-entrance seed that people tend to run, primarily because when the entrances are shuffled, you don't have a lot of sure or like static locations where you can, let's say, use rupees to buy bombs. And of course, you don't really know when you're going to encounter a bomb shop or be able to get extra resources such as bombs. So like having extra rupees is really very helpful.
Okay, I'm confused because I'm pretty sure that Hitsu just pulled on that tree and got 4 big 20s, while Tstew just got arrows.
Perhaps
okay.
Did Tstew take damage or kill an extra enemy?
Perhaps.
I guess.
Well, Hitsu just got arrows that time as well, so I guess that changes on you. That also, was that the entrance to Meyer right there?
That was the entrance of Meyer, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I think, to kind of follow up with chat, so like there are 3 tiers of tree pulls that you can get. So there is, so I think probably in this, depending on the number of enemies you killed and the amount of damage you've taken. So probably Hitsu probably killed one enemy or something, got the tier 1 triple, and then killed another one or 2 or 3 or something, and then got the another triple, another tier triple was probably arrows.
Okay. Well, that is something they'll have to keep in mind if they can find a way to farm those rupees and get that Zora money pretty quickly. Also, already finding the bomb shop.
It looks like tstew is going to choose not to spend 100 rupees to replenish his bombs. Given that he has 4, it's probably not, it's probably kind of like just a coin flip. Probably feels confident enough with using, only having 4 bombs, but he does have the bow and 30 arrows.
Yeah. Also finding the back of Hookshot Cave there. It is a connector. Can't get any of the chests out of it yet. Does find the powder in the chess game though.
Powder is certainly very nice safety early on.
Indeed.
We did see tstew spending some time actually when he found the dam. That's certainly an entrance you want to find sooner rather than later. And one difference in entrance versus like a non-entrance seed is that once you drain the dam, it stays drained for the rest of the game. So whenever they kind of make their way down to South Shore in the Light World, they'll be able to pick up the sunken treasure.
And also go into the Dark World entrance wherever Swamp is, and that will be filled.
Looks like tstew has found the Uncle Tunnel. Giving him some pocket change here.
And a little bit more pocket change. Not exactly the most fun in this area for them. Hitsu gonna go ahead and clear out this eastern area still. Not a ton of entrances. He did find Sahasra, Rala, Sala Bingang, Sahasa Makwati earlier. And the green pendant is today.
Alright, Hitsu using actually a little bit of game knowledge here. Probably doesn't feel that confident with just only having 3 bombs in Paradox Gate, so he's going to bomb open this entrance and just buy 10 bombs. Oh, and a heart. Very heart purchase here.
I have to say, that poor shopkeeper has been trapped behind that wall for who knows how long, and somebody frees them and buys all their stuff. What a magic day for them.
We did see tstew finding Hype Cave. I believe there was a Ganis Tower small key. May or may not have that much else, other than some safeties.
That was about it.
But it's certainly really nice this early on to encounter so many 5-item cave locations. Always really got to see early on.
Especially, we got Paradox on one side and Hype on the other.
Ooh, Hitsu finding a glove.
Along with another GT key. Not going to be terribly surprised to see that pretty early. Not that you can get terribly far. Meanwhile, we have Laser Bridge on tstew's side.
Certainly very nice laser skip here. Without the boots, this one is certainly harder.
Oof. And that was usually how I laser skip. I get shot by a laser and then I skip it until later.
Looks like he's going to try again. So one difference in entrance seeds that is kind of different than non-entrance seeds is that in V31, people tend to play with advanced logic, which actually means that you are required to do laser bridge here in advanced logic. In entrance, this is explicitly not considered to be in logic, mainly because I think one of the main developers of entrance, AA, has somewhat of a humane side, in that if you end up finding laser bridge with 3 hearts and green mail, probably not, the best time a player can have when trying to get something in logic there.
Yeah, Amazing Ampharos is a good friend of mine. I'm not sure that I would say he has a fully humane side, but it is more the exception than the rule. But yeah, he's. I think it's more along the lines of he doesn't want to deal with it himself. But it worked out for all of us.
Yeah, so I think we also did see Hitsu picking up a mushroom.
Okay, so we have the full kit for mushroom and powder. Oh, hey, how about a flipper salesman? And we have cape at lumberjack, which is at well. So that is actually going to be that logic we needed for the laser bridge, right there.
If only laser bridge had something worthwhile to get.
Well, that's a little bit less. Yeah, it's a thing.
Alright, so we did see we're seeing Hitsu kind of on the ice rod cave area. This in entrance. So certainly in non-entrance, people come over to Light World Ice Rod Cave to get the Ice Rod Cave item. In entrance, this area becomes a little bit more lucrative because you have 3 entrances that you potentially care about, and one of them is the back entrance of Turtle Rock.
Indeed, and we also have Swamp Palace on T-Stew's side. He goes ahead, ducks in, gets the 1 chest he can. We still need that key, but that's going to be not terribly hard for Hitsu to find.
Alright, so Hitsu does have a fire sword. This, I mean, being in Turtle Rock with this output is certainly never easy, but I think it's even more challenging here.
Are you kidding me? Hitsu just got all 4 anti-fairies with 1 powder. That is pro strats. That is yeah, no, I can't get all 4 fairies with like a full thing of magic, much less 1. Oh, but I can do that.
That was kind of unfortunate because I think just like the geometry, so like 1 arrow shot knocks out, I guess, one of those Pokeballs. And yeah, and unfortunately it bounces up and down.
That's a different game.
Practice. Boku art.
Let's say, is Pika-Pals playing? What? Oh, we were just talking about Amazing Ampharos. It's crazy the camaraderie between the network. Oh my god, he did it again. 4 anti-fairies at once.
Kind of as expected for someone who has their own sprite in this game, huh?
I suppose so.
Alright, I certainly cannot fault Hitsu for taking a bit more caution here. It wasn't like the end of the world come back here after you took the first death, especially if it's been so early. But certainly, it's not something that you kind of want to repeat.
Absolutely. Probably 1 more hit, I think. 1 spin / G. Okay, I was wrong. There we go. There's that key.
Yes, hard-earned key.
Indeed. I'm gonna go ahead and spend it. Don't accidentally get shot here. Not that that ever happens to me.
Of course not.
Oh man, that's.
It is another. Yeah, it is another indicator that potentially, when we do find pod, there could be something, more lucrative there.
I didn't think that compasses were directly tied in with the logic at all.
Well, I mean, it's I thought you need the map and the compass, but maybe it's different entrance.
That could just be. Yeah, I think
Okay.
that they're completely random. Don't lead to anything. So.
All right, sounds good.
Yep. Hitsu ran out of keys and decided to chomp aside. He's going to check out this other exit. And it's one of the things about entrance is that with so many different ways to get in and out of Turtle Rock, it does end up being sometimes a connector early on. It's not terribly surprising to see Turtle Rock early. Oh,
Speaking of Turtle Rock.
we have to go back. We have to go back.
It looks like tstew is also kind of exploring the Eastern Palace area, also going to find his Paradox Cave. In this case, we'll find his gloves.
Is slowly but surely getting into Kakariko and is going to start finding all the things that tstew found there, including likely those flippers and a lot of trash. See if he picks up some bombs here. He doesn't. I'm a little surprised at that. He's only got 2. Sometimes people do forget that the bomb shop is also a bomb shop.
It is certainly possible that maybe he doesn't want to spend money, because so I guess for normal bomb shots, buy 10 bombs, you only need 50 rupees. The bomb merchant will fill up your entire bomb capacity, but it'll cost you 100. So maybe he wasn't willing to part with 100 rupees. Possible.
It's true. And bombs haven't exactly been completely elusive this seed. Granted, neither has money. They still have Zora to go, though. And with that glove in hand, they can get up there.
Also, another maybe like something more subtle. The fact that these players do have a glove does actually make sure that whatever, or has a very much higher chance that whatever connector they go through, chances are they can always come back. So, for example, if they find a connector and it ends up taking them to the rupee farm, like right outside of Light World Desert, that location is under a rock. So if they don't have the glove, they actually can't go back. But given that both players now do have the glove, they can always just lift the rock and go back if they so choose.
Okay. So we found the sick kid. Sick kid had a map to Misery Mire, and I think that's a plausible reason for why he got sick. Spending all that time drawing out a map in Misery Mire, not very healthy.
If only he had the necessary medallion and a sword.
Yeah. Then he could have gone in, because it's so much healthier inside.
I was more thinking that he would just kind of like make the raid go away. Maybe that'll make him a little bit better.
That would help as well. So Chad has pointed out that both runners actually orphaned the cave outside of the Flute 5 spot by Eastern Palace. So time will tell if that's actually an important entrance for us or not. tstew making his way through to the desert area, finds Ice Rod Cave. And just a quick 50 for that. And much like tstew earlier, Hitsuyan has found Laser Bridge, unfortunately, before finding that cape up at the well, and is going to do Laser Bridge the hard way.
Hey, speaking of the Palace of Darkness and getting some small keys.
Yeah, so we have Palace of Darkness at Agana Cave.
And certainly very nice that the players have the bow here as well, so they can certainly make a little bit more headway into this dungeon.
I'm sure it's probably not a coincidence that they have the bow. Wouldn't surprise me at all if this does end up leading to something. It's always a fun and yet sometimes evil place in Randomizer to put the hammer at the end of the bow path and pod.
So when you say fun, you mean entertaining, right?
Oh, yes.
And Pod is has a lot of money for us.
Yes, that's gonna take care of the Zora Mafia payoff and probably the rest of whatever they need. Vanilla chicken is one of the tastiest dishes. Oh, hey, guess what? We found that big key to Eastern. It was right there in Pod all along.
Yeah, exactly where you'd expect it.
Oh, this is a little unfortunate. Hitsuyan has found that 50 cave, and it only went in there once. So it looked at first like he might go back and forth and farm it for Zora money, which we now know don't really need to do if you can find Pod first.
That was a very nice hammer job over there by tstew.
Indeed, and is oh, hey,
That is a very nice key. Yes.
and we have well, we still don't have the hammer, so we still can't get terribly far. We obviously don't have the hook shot yet as well, but we do have access to at least one more chest now. And tstew takes a purposeful death to warp back and check out the rest of Pod.
Very did not want tstew to jump down.
Indeed. We have at least 2, if not 3, small keys to Ganon's Tower at this point. I do expect it to rear its lovely head pretty soon. Granted, we have more keys. We don't have any way to actually get anywhere in
Yeah, right. Because I mean, certainly you probably are not going to spend the key unlocking that middle door between the two staircases. But yes, we can make we can do Hope Room, but we can't make any more progress until for the right side unless we have the Cane of Samaria, and we will need the hammer to make any progress on the left side.
True. Yeah.
And of course, I'm certainly hoping that both runners find the boots soon, so that they can at least get the torch.
And it ends up that bow locked side of Pod did not end up getting us anything whatsoever. Such a tease.
Of course, that bow buys you peace of mind. Like, you were just happy that you got, as much as you could have out of Pod the first time around.
Also, you can use it to kill things. Yay!
Okay, looks like, right, okay, looks like tstew is not going to follow this connector, at least for the time being. Perhaps wants to explore a little bit more of this area before kind of like committing.
I think might have remembered, hey, wait, I've got flippers. So let's finish exploring this area. It's going to lead to fun things. You got Hobo, and then you can check out the Island Cave, check out, Light World Shopping Mall up here, and warp up to Waterfall, and then go ahead and spend some of that Pod money up at Zora.
Fortunately, Hobo not having a lot of value here, but it certainly is at this point kind of considered, not a super convenient location to get to. So certainly can't fault him for kind of like, at least this is about as close as he's going to get, at least for now.
Meanwhile, we've got a magic back check over on Hitsu's side, and it is another bottle.
The archery game is just kind of floating in the middle of the island. It's like a resort.
So tstew is not going to check out the shopping mall unless he's already been over there.
I don't think so. But perhaps he's going to, pay the waterfall visit, pay Zora a visit, and then come back.
Possibly. I understand, when you owe the Zora Mafia money, you want to pay them off quickly. They'll still try and gun you down, but they'll be much nicer about it. And let's see what the Godfather has for us today.
A map. 2. Well, it'll be complete knowledge for us. Whether or not Eastern is a pendant or crystal might influence these guys to do Eastern maybe sooner rather than later. Of course, it's a pendant. Why would it not be a pendant? We have the bow. We have the big key. It's early.
It's not even green pendant. That's just insulting. Hitsu has now found his way into pod as well, and is getting that pod money.
It does look like perhaps tstew is going to make his way now over to the Ice Rock Cave area, since I'm not sure if there was anything else over here for him at this point.
Yeah, makes sense. A little bit faster to swim, I think. Maybe not terribly. But,
We do see... Go ahead.
That's at least going to swim across the creek right there.
Yes, I was just about to echo your sentiments. tstew taking actually a little bit of a faster route because he has the flippers. It is slightly faster to jump down in the water and swim rather than kind of like walk the way across, around.
Okay, so I didn't realize that this is where that entrance to Turtle Rock and to Paradox Cave were, so that Hitsu found earlier. So that makes a lot of sense of why tstew had not yet found these.
So both players looks like they knew the bomb jump from that entrance to kind of like wedge themselves over to be able to explore Turtle Rock. Normally, this isn't going to be, or this specific maneuver is not considered to be in logic. You normally want the hook shot or Kingdom of Samaria to kind of get across. But a little thing like logic is never going to stop these runners.
Yeah, I was playing a seed earlier today, and the logic wanted you to find the desert small key on Laser Bridge. But desert was also a pendant, so if you had just stolen the key, you would have been ahead I probably lost 20 minutes doing that. So logic is not always your friend in Link to the Past Randomizer. Or life, honestly. Hitsu now getting his big key to Eastern. Also known as that big key to the second pendant.
It's somewhat surprising that despite our runners kind of like going in opposite directions, they actually have not really covered any like that much unique ground. Like between the two of them, we've actually kind of seen them just kind of like retrace each other's steps, just in a slightly different order. Neither path so far though has seemed to really been able to give runners like probably like a distinct advantage.
It's true. So we still have not seen Moon Pearl, much as we talked about early on, so that is definitely holding us back from any level of Dark World exploration. you know, they're limited in how far they can get anyways in bunny states, because their one entrance that we know of is at the pyramid. I do believe that we saw at least one connector to Death Mountain earlier, but I don't remember if it was light or dark. Meanwhile, tstew has found the front entrance to Old Man Cave. Unfortunately, it is checkerboard.
That's not a very useful Old Man Cave location, unfortunately. They've already kind of checked out the desert area. They don't have the book, so it is still possible that, you know, Desert Main could be like something useful, but given that this is kind of like out of the way already, and they've already figured out. Well, I don't know, it could be close to go back to Pod. Maybe.
There is at least that. tstew did not have a bomb when he came in here earlier, so is having to get a vanillish heart piece right here out of the well. Yeah, I mean, desert is a crystal. Desert is actually a 5/6 crystal, so that's useful. But you know, that's we don't actually know if desert is in desert, so so that being a crystal doesn't actually help us necessarily with that entrance.
To answer a question in chat, I believe neither player has checked anything anything in the desert area except for Gina's cave, and I guess now Checkerboard cave. I don't think they have access currently, because they will need a book to get into Desert Main, or they need to get to the Dark World in the mirror to get to the Desert Palace area.
So no pearl, no mirror, no flute, no book, no exploration in that area whatsoever beyond what we've seen. We are, like, as you stated, like, we've kind of had a lot of checks that have repeated each other. We're running out of places to look. Hitsu is gonna go ahead and take the hint, though.
And certainly in Cross Keys, whether or not a dungeon is a crystal or pendant, especially early on, it most likely doesn't matter to you. As long as it's in logic, it can have progression.
Especially when you start to run out at this level. Because if it's not here, there's maybe one or two other spots that can be checked. tstew is going to check the second level of the Swamp Palace. Beyond this, we might start to see a little bit of bunny shenanigans.
Couch cash in the big chest of Eastern Palace.
And bombs in Swamp Palace, so not the answer there either.
To answer a question in chat, I believe Zora had a map, so that was, yes, also not considered progression.
Nope. Not today. Keystew's gonna pick up his Meyer map. But the real excitement for us is going to be Hitsuyan fighting Armos Knights and seeing what this prize is, along with a pendant.
Of course, there's always the possibility of something being on the pedestal.
It's true. We need to find Gullwoods for that to be relevant, and then obviously need to clear a third dungeon. We have no idea which or where, besides knowing it's not Turtle Rock. And it's not Desert. I won't lie, I looked away. I completely missed what the item was, but I thought it was probably trash, and no one's reacting.
Oh,
So,
on Armos?
yes.
On Armos was some more explosives.
Oh, fun. Okay, so tstew has started with bunny shenanigans.
So yeah, so as actually chat was pointing out earlier, if he has the mirror, he can now access the areas of desert.
And
of course, he doesn't have the mirror. Yeah, so he's going to check Dark World Agina has another connector. So he's going to choose Ticket.
I mean, the logic in these seeds can be pretty crazy as far as where you need to go in bunny form. But that's not the answer. Because that was just the top of Light World, where you come out from Death Mountain, and also where you mirror to from Bumper Ledge.
Certainly taking this connector, I guess like up to down route is a lot faster than coming from down to right. But you know, certainly I certainly can't fault him for choosing to kind of go back, because where that connector led wasn't really anything productive.
Absolutely. Yeah. And also, if this was a different ROM, then he could actually access Lower Norfair right now.
We don't know anything about that game.
A little bit outside of the not quite that level of entrance for this seed. tstew is going.
His map to Harrow. So actually, yeah, probably a few things here. So normally, I think so. As he dropped down, he became a super bunny. But I think also, yeah, it was also just certainly a one-way trip back to CAG. I think he found the entrance to or the exit to Spiral Cave earlier, though.
Yes, I don't think that he was. That was new information. I also, if memory serves, which is questionable, I don't believe that any of the Super Bunny is ever in logic. So even though you always would get Super Bunny for falling there, no matter what, that still is not a considered in logic thing.
Yeah, I believe you're correct. Bunny shenanigans is purely just for fun.
If you break logic and find the right item, it can open up your seed in a major way. And as you continue to watch this tournament, you will see more and more players just absolutely, like, they don't care about logic. If they can find something that's going to open up the world for them, they will absolutely do it every time. Big thanks. Nora has gifted my co-coms here a sub.
Thank you so much, Tornado. I really appreciate it.
Oh, and you also gave me a sub. That's so sweet. Thank you so much. You know, I'm actually gonna try now. Like, I was kind of posting before, but now I'm actually trying to do a good job. You know, let's try and make this fun.
It looks like we do see tstew, probably taking the big hint from the game that perhaps something could be an Eastern. We did see on Hitsu's side that he will probably get more bombs for his efforts, but you know, it's certainly more peace of mind.
Indeed. So the thing that stands out to me is very early. I can't remember who or where, but one of these runners did find a connector into Death Mountain, and they immediately took the other cave. I don't remember if it was, I knew it was East Death Mountain. I think it was light, but it might have been dark, because those are the two options.
I think it might have been on Tsu's side. I don't remember Hitsu kind of ever being in that area
Yeah.
and doing any real bunny shenanigans yet, or bunny walking.
Yeah, but I have to wonder, it was Dark Death Mountain. Is there any other connectors there that might be the answer?
Yeah, 40 some minutes in, these players don't have a lot of convenience items, or like high tier convenience items. Right? Those items being, of course, the player's favorite probably is the boots, but also they would really like a mirror so they can go between light and dark world when they do end up kind of getting spit out in the dark world through connectors. And of course, they want the moon pearl so they can actually do stuff in the dark world. Not just kind of walk around as a bunny, even though it's to our pure enjoyment.
But not only do they not have a lot of those type of items, they really don't have much of anything. I mean, like we found a smattering of nice things. The bow, flippers, we got a lamp, we got one of the gloves. But beyond that, we have a sword. If I'm one of these runners, they've got to be wondering, what is the thing that I've missed that's going to open up this seed? And how long has it been since my opponent found it before me?
And they do have the cave, so that will give them access to, they can go through Bumper Cave if they ever find it, and they can also enter the door on top of Hyrule Castle, where you would normally go to fight Agnem.
Absolutely. It is also potentially logical access to Fight Cave once they find that hammer. But if they had that hammer, they would be doing a lot more. Hitsu finding out the bad news about the front of Old Man Cave. After finding out the bad news about Swamp Palace. Whereas tstew is about to find out the bad news about Armos Knights.
And where did he pick up those bombs? I mean, Armos was going to give him, 3 bombs here. I don't know why he went out of his way to go pick up more bombs.
Yeah. So another thing that we haven't seen much of, like we've been talking about bunny shenanigans, and that we haven't really seen a ton of it. We still have, from the start of the game, access to that pyramid. And I don't think we've seen either runner really wander around the Dark World pyramid area. Okay, well, we at least finally solved that mystery on Hitsu's side about the one cave they left alone near Eastern Palace. And that was the blacksmiths. And Hitsu is thinking.
Speaking of the pyramid, it looks like tstew is going to take your advice and start walking around. Perhaps Hitsu here is going to do the same.
Hitsu is a little upset. A move I typically see from Fred Coughlin. Loves to leave bombs behind in these seeds. Not the answer. That's just one of the large fairies? Mega fairies? Fairy superior?
Let us heal you with a cup of tea.
Meanwhile, that was the magic potion shop, and they did turn in the mushroom earlier, so of course they got more bombs.
Look, another connector.
Yeah. Okay.
They're certainly running low on options here.
Oh,
all right.
Never mind.
All right, so it looks like we've definitely found, a new area that we can explore. Certainly still as a bunny, but still lots of interests we can check here.
This is just delicious. Absolutely delicious.
Did find Mini Molten Cave, so certainly 5 items in the back, but cannot conveniently kill anything as a bunny. Bunnies are very humane. very peaceful. But against their nature to really do any harm.
So first, I'm going to recommend that you read Watership Down, and second, let's check out who has found desert and is going to take advantage of that to Super Bunny up. No, not Super Bunny. Actually, just Link up.
Yeah, it's definitely. So this is something that runners tend to do a lot. This is certainly not in logic without the Moon Pearl, but if you do die in a dungeon, you will get revived as Link, whether or not it's in the Dark or Light world. So this will give players a lot more freedom.
Yes. So they do have the big key for this desert palace they found much earlier. More importantly, this is also 2 more exits. This is a major connector. So we'll have to see where this goes. And a lone rupee sitting on the torch.
You did see on Hitsu's side have a little bit of hesitation. So one difference. Oh wow, tstew fighting the flute. So definitely, yes. So it was definitely Hitsu made the right call here. And I think so when tstew came in, I think he was only on like 2 or 3 hearts. So death revival was certainly a much easier decision for him. Hitsu had full health, so I think he was kind of debating whether or not he was just going to check the entrances. Instead of kind of death warping, and taking like 8 hearts of 8 hearts of damage. But certainly, because there was a flute there, Hitsu definitely made the right call.
Oh, and this is a moment of hesitation, but the rabbit jumps. Because that is the top side of Dark Death Mountain. And that is...
Flying Aka Tower!
And is going to go ahead and Bunny revive here as well. The Moon Pearl is definitely somewhere. Remember, that flute is not in logic. Anything that we find here in Agan Tower, not going to be in logic yet. We need that Moon Pearl. But getting to the top of Dark Death Mountain is in logic.
Mm-hmm. See Hitsu. Okay, so we finally a little bit more divergence. Hitsu choosing not to. Oh wow, not to jump. tstew fighting the silvers. Oh, that is a really nice find. Just so early.
Yes, that is going to really speed up combat for tstew. Another thing to keep in mind, I don't believe I'm incorrect on this, but I don't actually believe that this middle connector is going to be in logic for desert, because you need to be able to lift skulls out of the way.
I actually missed where that exit came out of.
We didn't see, I don't think.
Did Hitsu not make it?
Hitsu saved and quit before going through. I don't know why. Yeah, you can only bunny walk between left and right entrances, logically. Instead, they are both almost like they're a second apart, maybe? Absolutely, just jetting to get to activate that flute, which is still not in logic, but they do not care.
Thank you for the clarification in chat. I didn't realize he was actually a bunny at the time. And of course, shout outs to our trackers today, Lady and Jinxie. Thank you so much for keeping track of all of the items that our runner's been getting. Tracking on regular seas is already pretty challenging. Tracking entrance Keysanity is like on overdrive. So thank you so much.
And a double Hyrule salute as both of our runners have activated their ducks and are immediately getting their ducks into a row. And no surprise here, they're both going straight to Death Mountain.
It's not often you get to see very much sinking in cross keys.
Yeah, and especially to this degree, but... Oh, hello! You know, it seems to me that in these cross key seeds, it's not uncommon to find Ganon's Tower in Death Mountain.
Oh, did you see that pickup in Hope Room? Oh.
Yes, I did! Okay, well, that's going to unlock at least one more item in here. Not a very exciting item, but still.
It looks like Hitsu happy with his boots. Okay. I guess he chose initially to not explore further in Ganostar, or maybe he just forgot about the torch.
I think he might have just forgotten. But without hammer, this is the only thing. So he's like, nope.
So far, our runners still do not have traditional Dark World access. They just have a glove. They would need another glove or a hammer, and certainly the Moon Pearl to kind of get to the Dark World and do something intelligent. The normal way. Just thinking back, it seems like at least so far, kind of our only access to the Village of Outcasts at this point is through connectors.
Right. But they are completely in logic to get there. Through those connectors at this point. So really, like, it's just about finding that Moon Pearl at this point. I'm actually wondering, like, I understand there's a lot of entrances here. There's a lot to find. Like they just found the old man. So now they have a faster access to Checkerboard Cave. But this is
Hitsu.
less likely to lead to the pearl. If they find it up here, then there must be another way, because right now that they're up here because of the flute. The flute is not in logic. If you're following the logic to get to the Moon Pearl, it's probably more bunny shenanigans over in that Village of Outcasts area, likely, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But bunny shenanigans are not always fun, and they can take forever. And if you find the right item, it can shortcut you. Find the right entrance, it can shortcut you. So that's why our two runners are both not hesitating to just go ahead and explore this Death Mountain area with so many entrances.
And so we certainly did see on Hitsu's side and tstew's side that when these runners both found the contents of Graveyard Ledge, they did not have to menu to select bombs to blow up the wall. One of the quality of life conveniences for specifically entrances is that players are allowed to quick swap. So instead of pulling up the menu and then switching to the item that you want, you are allowed to use the L and R buttons to kind of scroll through your menu bar.
And considering that Link to the Past has very, very, very little use for the actual L and R buttons, like they can help you escape from quicksand, things like that. You don't miss it. It's really nice to be able to just quickly cycle through your items. It's such a nice convenience change.
Also, I think one thing that these runners certainly must be happy about is that in addition to the release with, as part of the release for version 31.0.5, probably one of the most notable changes was that they no longer have the forced extra delay of save and quit. So certainly for cross keys, that will let them definitely save and quit a lot more frequently.
Absolutely. So they're taking advantage of these boots, not just to run, but also to check all of the bonk rocks, which is multiple entrances in Light and Dark World. We have, like, we already checked the Desert Torch. No, we haven't checked the Desert Torch, but it was trash, I think.
Yes, both. So I think certainly tstew checked it. I believe Hitsu did as well, but it was certainly just it was one of 2 green rupees in the game.
Right. So Hitsu just found the Master Sword in Hookshot Cave with that one check you can do. tstew is going to be right behind. And this is going to be a nice pickup. It is going to improve. Not quite as nice for tstew. It's going to be necessary in the long run, but with those silvers, tstew is definitely not getting too much of an upgrade in combat, but it was definitely nice for Hitsu. But yeah, thing to keep in mind, tstew, I like this move a lot. I like it a lot because while all of those checks were nice, none of them were in logic. The flute is not in logic. The boots are not in logic. They cannot lead to Moon Pearl. And so this is going back, and Hitsu is right behind again. It's crazy how much these guys are thinking alike. So remind me, can you do Kiki the monkey in bunny form? Can animals
You cannot.
Okay.
I guess bunnies and monkeys, don't, I guess, tend to get along.
That is the world's saddest children's book, right there. But
I guess you can think about this as, Kiki probably only, sees Patsies that he'll talk to, and, perhaps, Link being a bunny, he has more respect for Link, so he won't actually try to scam him.
Okay. I'll buy that. And so meanwhile, both of our runners are now doing bunny shenanigans in and around the Village of Outcasts. tstew looking at that often forgotten spot, which I think might be a vanilla fortune.
I think this is the Curiosity Shop. This is where you can buy the fire shield for 500 rupees.
Oh, right. That's right.
I always wondered about this game, like, it was also trying to scam you, like, as part of the game, because, certainly, like, you can also, like, in the waterfall waterfall fairy cave, you can throw in your shield, your Fido shield, and you get the fire shield for free. And then I stumbled upon the shop. It's like, oh, I need 500 rupees to buy a fire shield. Like, it seemed probably not the best deal that I could spend my money on.
All back to the Zora Mafia. They control everything. And, it's weird because they're all lazy. There's literally rupees everywhere. Like, they literally scattered around the world, on the ground, everywhere. They could just spend an hour going around and they'd have more money. But no, they want you to gather it, and they'll sell you useless things in order to get it.
Oh, Hitsu, wandering around the overworld with one heart. I think he does have a potion, so he can probably choose to use it. Certainly, dying on the overworld. Okay, dying in general is never really that much fun unless it's intentional. But dying on the overworld, especially here in the dark world, because it took so many connectors to get here, I think would be especially painful.
Yeah, tstew now committing to going to the south side, has dropped off the ledges and is exploring the south side of Dark. Not terribly many entrances down here, but they're running out of options. Again.
To further go along with the question in chat, so bunnies can talk to people. They cannot actually like do anything after that. So like if you talk to like the chess game, let's say in the dark as a bunny, that guy will gladly take your money, but then you can't actually open it.
Once again, proving that this game is just an absolute jerk. That's all your money. So that was the bottom of Super Bunny Cave. Unfortunately, we're regular bunny right now, so not helpful.
Let's see Hitsu actually taking advantage of what a bunny can do, in that it can talk to NPCs, and in this case, because it was 20 rupees certainly for a full heart refill. In his situation, 700 some rupees. I'm sure he has 20 rupees to spare for a full heart fill.
Yeah. Oh goodness! Oh my goodness! Do you see this?
Yes, tstew has found his way to Hyrule Castle. This is amazing.
This is an amazing bunny. Oh my god! And this is 2 more connectors.
Oh, man.
Oh wow!
Oh,
These are 2 more connectors. Wow. Now, keep in mind that that sword is also not in logic, but they do have cape. And this is back of desert. This is just amazing. This is in logic. This is fully in logic.
Both players certainly do have the Desert Palace big key, so tstew has silvers, which will certainly help him in this fight a lot.
Absolutely, they have a lamp for fire source. Yeah.
Yeah, and certainly I think once Hitsu finds his entrance, I'm sure he'll also decide to beat Lammo, especially given that it's also a crystal. He will just have a slower time. No fire rod, just like with the bow and the master sword will certainly be less fast than 3 silver arrows.
Yeah.
Of course, meanwhile, Hitsu decided to Link revive, Hitsu revive in Hyrule Castle, and we'll let us see the contents. Does have the Hyrule Castle small key that he picks up from 40 minutes ago or something. So all of this will be assuming he has a pearl, this is in logic.
And it's a crystal. Our first crystal. It is a 5/6 crystal. Chad has pointed out something that is actually correct. Technically, you do need the desert small to be fully in logic, because you can always steal that key and take it somewhere else. So by pure logic, that actually is out of logic to beat that dungeon, unless this is the desert small. Nope, it's misery.
I was going to commend the game for having such a great sense of humor. That's a Desert Palace small key.
I was going to be right there with you.
But now for, I guess, for better or for worse, the fact that that connector did spit them out at the top of Hyrule Castle is another way to be able to come up here to the top of Hyrule Castle. Wow, Hitsuyan. Speaking of what great fortune, picking up the fire rod, he will have just as fun time, I guess.
Yeah, because of that entrance, just like you said, all of this actually is in logic. It can be completely in logic for the game to require you to leave into Light World, come back in, and have access to a place, to a dungeon.
This kind of seed probably separates, like good cross keys runners from like great cross keys runners. So just try and figure out and keep track of what is actually in logic and I can actually do things for.
I think this seed is also going to be a great one to say, separate cross keys runners from, I think I'll play something else. Because, while this is absolutely amazing and fascinating to watch, they're an hour in and they're having to do insane bunny logic, and they still actually don't have that pearl.
At least they gave them the boots early. Out of logic, granted, but at least you got boots.
and flute.
And flute, that's true.
Yes. Meanwhile, that fire rod is in logic, but barring them finding the entrance to Ice Palace, that's not actually useful yet.
We did see in the back of Escape Hitsu picking up a small key to Thieves Town and another Misery Mire small key. The Thieves Town small key will certainly, it's one of those small keys that you would rather have sooner rather than later, especially before you find Thieves Town, because probably to get to the big chest, it's not super convenient to kind of go back in the second time around, but of course we still need the hammer.
Indeed. So I'm trying to think right now. Did we ever see what was actually out the front entrance?
Oh, Hyrule Castle?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
They were there earlier. I don't quite remember, because I think both players were there up early.
Oh, that's Misery Mire. No. I'm sorry. From the inside of Hyrule Castle is what I'm asking. Like when you exit the middle area. did we ever see what happens when they go out there yet? Because they came in. Okay, we have not seen it yet. I didn't think so. So we still haven't fully seen what this has to offer, and that's probably where tstew is going now. Or not. Or was that the way we came in?
Yes, that is correct. Yes, because we came in the hypercrossman and then we immediately took a left.
Okay, well, that exit is useless. Yet another useless exit into the desert.
Hitsu, making full use of the fire rod. Unfortunately, not quite enough magic to all 3 Lemma on the first try, but certainly, was enough to kill to get a 2-cycle.
Indeed.
His first crystal, a little bit, I think maybe like 5-ish minutes behind tstew. This is, it is still anybody's game right now.
Absolutely is. But the thing this led to a fire rod, and that's about it so far. I think the next thing they could find is, if they don't find that moon pearl, then maybe like the Kana scenario. But was Ganon's Tower even in Logic? Was that in Dark World?
PT was in Light World. Because, wasn't it?
Oh, right, but the flute is out of Logic, so that's
Yes,
not.
yeah. Speaking of Super Bunny,
Wow,
we're here as a bunny. We're actually gonna see a real Super Bunny inside Super Bunny. Of course, tstew already showing some Super Bunny attributes here because he got to drop down the first time. I think he needs to reset the room to get that other chest.
That's a mistake. And not just reset the room. You lose Super Bunny. Oh, I guess not. You can still open it. The right side of Hyrule Castle actually spit us out the right exit of Desert. It was completely useless.
I have never seen 2 players turn back so quickly.
Yeah. And that's another pod key that was up there on Bumper Ledge.
I think, is this 4 pod keys now for both runners?
I don't know. Sure.
I know they found 3 at least, but I thought this was the 4th pod
It
key.
wouldn't surprise me at all. And pod is in Logic. And I believe that pretty much, I don't know if all of those keys are in Logic or not, but I think that they are. I know that Meyer is not in Logic because boots are not in Logic. If they go back to pod and they are able to access an area with keys and find that moon pearl there, they are gonna panic like crazy.
Okay, alright, so B looks like one of the... was that vanilla?
That was vanilla. Mm-hmm. I would say yes. This is definitely rando. Might have some vanilla bits in it. Happens, but it's pretty thoroughly blended so far. Otherwise, so tstew is going to take advantage and Hitsu right behind.
One advantage that Hitsu will have coming into this room, or Meyer, is that he has sword beams. Sword beams are incredibly useful to do this room very efficiently.
It's true, but overall, I'd still say tstew having that silver arrow advantage, I would take that over sword beams any day.
I tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
certainly, these letters both picked up Meyer small keys, and normally people. Oh wow, okay, that's a really nice big key to find. Big key to GT. Certainly very useful. May not be required per se, but I mean, it certainly unlocks a lot of items.
Absolutely. Yep, and chat correctly pointing out that if we were to find the book in logic, it actually would also put the flute in logic, which would then put the boots in logic and GT in logic. But none of those things will be found in Meyer, which is not currently in logic.
So Hitsu and tstew both picked up a small key to Skull Woods. So small key, just like Meyer small keys, people don't tend to value them as highly, mainly because you don't really kind of need that many, or in the Meyer case, any at all. However, these like trash keys would certainly speed up the way that you can complete the dungeon. So it's not like you have to like take a bunch of detours because you have to. Is that you can just end the key to take a shortcut.
And there's Castle Tower key is what's awaiting Hitsu at the bottom of this. tstew just got there. I don't know. I understand them both being here and clearing this out. It's nice. But unless I'm missing something, they're still out of logic, and the Moon Pearl cannot be here. I'm not sure this is where I would be. But I'm also not one of the high level. These guys are good at this. They know what they're doing.
You're not the 5 seed and the 28 seed in the Cross Keys tournament?
Nope. Not remotely. Well, okay. See, this is why. This is why I sit here and speculate while they make the moves that make the magic, because that is hammer.
You sit here and you commentate.
To succeed.
So with that heart piece, looks like tstew no longer wants to spend any more time in Meyer. I think he's got all the items that he could possibly get. No Kane of Samaria means he can't go further. He does have the silver arrows. So like if he could get to Vitreous, certainly would not be that as bad of a fight.
And they have no Kane of Samaria. Yeah, tstew is going to go ahead and immediately start exploring the left side of GT basement. Once again, completely understandable play considering the number of items. Oh, Hitsu is, we're actually getting some divergence here.
Certainly with that hammer, yeah, like, like these are, they have some viable options. They can go back to pod. They can do GT, like tstew here is doing. They can, now Swamp is more open to them. tstew. So without the hook shot, this room is not logically accessible. Of course, with these runners who needs logic. He did the bomb jump to come over to the Southwest room, picking up blue mail and an ice rod. We don't know. Oh no, we do know that TR is a crystal, so that ice rod is 100% required.
Absolutely, that is going to be a nice one to find early, not have to hunt for it. So fun thing is that this room is actually in logic with the boots. Nothing else on left side is.
I think they have enough keys for it too.
Well, yes.
But yes, location-wise, it's certainly in logic because you can, as tstew demonstrated, you can bonk all the way over here.
Absolutely.
Oh, Hitsu finding the last piece of additional Dark World access, finding the Moon Pearl in Swamp, because, of course, where else would it be?
Okay, I'm confused now. I'm very confused. So that has to mean, okay, that hammer was in Meyer, So that means that the book has to be out there somewhere, or the mirror. Somewhere in logic before that. Or a connector of some sort, because it had something that had to put those boots in logic. Because there's the mirror right there.
Mm-hmm. Founding also a big key to Hera. GT is very item dense.
Yeah. But yeah, it's got to be about those boots being put in logic. GT in general being put in logic somehow.
I might have missed on his side, but I do not think that he did Diver Down to get to Left Side Swamp. I think he just did the normal. So you can certainly do Diver Down with a bomb setup, perhaps since you just didn't want to.
Yeah.
Alright, so tstew ready to take on Armos, cast Silvers. Should be significantly easier than taking down regular Armos than that he did already before. Meanwhile, Hitsu on left side, taking multiple trips, founding half magic. That's certainly very nice.
Absolutely. Yeah. No hook shot.
Yes, so, thank you, chat, for reminding me. The little things you tend to forget.
Oh, or just not know in the first place for me. But yes, so much going on.
Speaking of randomized items,
what? That's what? So the Ganon's Tower Old Navy is still open for business.
Both mail upgrades were found in GT. That was unexpected.
Indeed.
One of them was specifically the vanilla location.
And tstew is going to go ahead and climb. Why not? Has the key, has the bow, has a nice red shirt.
Enough arrows to spare.
Yeah, especially with them being silvers. Absolutely. And yeah, I think our days of sync are over at this point. With tstew climbing like this and getting the items that tstew has gotten out of GT, whereas Hitsu managed to find that pearl in Swamp.
And chances are Hitsu's going to try and do a lot more things in Dark World.
Absolutely.
And chances are Hitsu's going to try and do a lot more things. Unfortunate mistiming, it looks like, on tstew's side. I think he wanted that fairy to keep in a bottle.
Yep. There's more opportunities. Remember, they picked up that powder pretty early. And they definitely like to throw some anti-fairies at you on this gauntlet climb.
I did see Hitsu checking the vanilla big key chest in Skull Woods. Unfortunately, has to do that those rooms without the King of Samaria, so it's a little bit more time. Gets rewarded though with the compass of GT. So I guess whenever Hitsu makes his way back to GT, he will know in game how many items he's gotten.
Hitsu using that fire rod to open up the back of Skull, but only gets 5 rupees as a reward.
So, given that Sank was in Pyramid, I think so. Chances are, I'm not sure like how much further tstew's going to go. Like he certainly doesn't need to kill Aga too. I don't know if tstew can hover. If he can get the last chest after Moldorm.
It's true. Yeah.
And did we see a hookshot on Hitsu's side in Skull Woods? Wow.
Yeah. That's pretty nice. Chat, I would need a fairly thorough flowcharts to try and explain the madness that was this seed so far as just the amount of bunny madness and logic, and we still actually haven't 100% figured out how the moon pearl is in logic. We found it in a place that was out of logic, and we have suspicions. And hey, how about a Titansmith in GT? Meanwhile, Hitsu is exploring Village of Outcasts while actually being able to go around.
It looks like Stu, I guess either he was not confident in his hovering abilities, or he just chose not to. But it does not look like he was going to be molded for that last chest up in GT.
Yep. Yeah, and odds are we won't see that chest for quite a while, if ever.
Oh my gosh! So
Wow.
It looks like that GT climb was also very required.
Yeah, not just finding that Titansmith, but also getting the shovel, which was required for Canis and Maria. Oh goodness! And suddenly that makes all those Turtle Rock entrances very interesting. Meanwhile, Hitsu has found Ice Palace.
As Tisu goes into the vanilla ice palace location.
Exactly, and finds Mimic Cave there. That's amusing. When was the Moon Pearl? We're still trying to solve how was the Moon Pearl. The Moon Pearl was in Swamp Palace, I believe.
Yes, it was in that bottom circle that you had to get.
Yeah. And since Hookshot was where it was,
Shot was in Skull,
Yes.
and you definitely needed the pearl after that to get that.
Yeah, so the boots were the logical access to Swamp Palace, 100%. The boots were in the Hope Room of GT. GT is in the Death Mountain area, which we had not yet found a connector for, but we found an out-of-logic flute in the Big Chest of Desert Palace. Desert Palace entrance, center entrance, was the only connector in Light World, but it is in its vanilla location. We don't have book yet. So that it's either we find book somewhere or we find a Death Mountain access entrance. Yeah, probably a connector there somewhere.
Yeah, a connector is likely. I have lost track of where what options were left before these guys started, sequence breaking a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But certainly, it could have been a connector, or it could have just been another place where where it was the book.
Lamp was in the well, which was first couple of minutes.
The well was in where the useless fairy drop is. Where people normally do the hula hand.
Mm-hmm. Where were Silvers? Because that was
Silvers were in Aga Tower.
Right.
Chest.
Yeah. So Tstew actually dived into Castle Tower first chest, and Hitsu just skipped it.
Yes, and of course both players did not have the pearl, so Tstew chose to, in this case, Link Revive in the dungeon to get it. So about an hour and a half mark, Tstew picks up his second crystal. This is honestly I won't say normal, but it's certainly not uncommon, for kind of like the first hour, let's say hour and a half, for these players not to really have any notable dungeons beaten. But then, within like the next, let's say half hour to 45 minutes, it'll just suddenly be, because they have like a bunch of more progression, they can just start clearing out dungeons.
Dungeons missing at this point. Because there's still, without that Moon Pearl and other things, there's been quite a bit that they have not been able to get to. tstew is actually going to complete the rest of this loop in GT with that newfound Cane of Samaria. Coming back, and is going to go ahead and do Tile Room.
The most exciting rooms to watch as a viewer, of course. Made slightly more interesting with the cinemized, but we're here stuck with the vanilla rando. What tstew here is doing is he is activating his cape, but he's also grabbing onto the wall. And this trick basically makes the game think that you don't actually need to spend any magic.
Yep. And also helps you to escape from wall masters. Unfortunately, something Hitsuyan was unable to do. Got turned into his bunny form and then immediately grabbed and brought back to the beginning of what he may or may not be forgetting is the green pendant dungeon. Which we found out.
And we saw tstew. tstew's patience pays off in Tile Room because he picked up a tempered sword.
Oh goodness, that is nice. So
tempered sword will certainly make life a little bit easier here against Moth.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to really tell. tstew is definitely getting a lot of major items in progression and is having a great amount of progress without the pearl. Meanwhile, Hitsu is missing some of these things because found the pearl. And Hitsu really needs to go clear out GT in a major way, while tstew needs to go back to Swamp Palace.
Certainly, on tstew's side, he has a lot more firepower. He has the silvers, he has tempered sword. So by the time that he, in this case, goes back to, does the Skull Bloods or any of the other like dungeons that Hitsu's kind of already cleared, he will have a much faster time like clearing out those dungeons.
Absolutely. I answered a question in chat. Swamp Palace was in Thieves' Hideout. It is found in immediately Sphere Zero location, and it was not hard for us to find the dam to activate. It was not. The flippers were at the merchant, so we've actually had access. I can't remember where that small key was. That was the main thing. But we had access to that first chest pretty early on, and then
I want to say they found a swamp key in pod, but don't quote me on that.
I will not, even though it sounds good.
It was certainly very early on, yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, we actually did see tstew in the lamp, like lighting the torches room. He did not have the hook shot, so unlike, I guess, like probably the more common approach where you light the 4 torches and you kind of hook shot onto one of the torches and then take damage and then get death warp back to the beginning of the room, he didn't have that option, so he had to kind of go around the longer and take the damageless approach. And wait for the conveyor belt to kind of put it back in the at the beginning. I don't know if that's like developer intended, because you certainly do have the hooks at that point, but I'm not sure it's like the first kind of like approach that you would. But you certainly wouldn't, like the first approach that you would think of probably wouldn't involve the hook shot. That room. See complementary boomerangs here on tstew and Hitsu's side. tstew picking up the red boomerang from Desert Ledge.
The earlier match today, there was a bit of hearty debate over which of the 2 boomerangs is the superior one. I know personally that I care much more about that debate when it comes to the original game. For this one, I say, who cares? They're boomerangs, and neither is Kroll's boomerang, which is obviously the only boomerang that actually counts, unless you count, Xena. And I guess I should give a shout out to Sokka, since I just finished a rewatch of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Tstew back in pod. Potentially is going to clear out this dungeon. Minus. Yes, he can't get to Helma because I don't think he has the big key, and he can't get the big chest. So he's trying to make a little bit more progress in this dungeon. Does have a lot of small keys though. So, assuming Hitsu, in this case, clears out all of GT, he has the hook shot, which means that he can actually choose to go all the way to Molder to get the final chest.
It's true. And is going to get a major upgrade in his entire wardrobe here. Has picked up the blue mail, and we know is en route to red mail. Meanwhile, tstew is doing the play as well. Is diving back into swamp, and we haven't had a boring seed by any shape whatsoever, and we had some crazy sync early on, and not so early on. But they are about to both basically get the major things that the other has gotten. And I think we're going to have a very interesting race, even at this point.
I completely agree. It is really because they're still missing so many entrances and keys, and still progression items. It's really you just don't know in this case who has the advantage at this point. Because even though I would say probably Hitsuyan had a bit of a earlier advantage, finding the Moon Pearl and the hook shot a little bit sooner, but in this case, I don't really think it hurt tstew all that much. And he's gonna pick these items up almost immediately.
Yep. Oh wow, tstew is bailing. He got that pearl and said, I'm good. Makes sense. Don't have the hook shot. Is going to miss out on half magic because of that, but that's about it.
To answer your question in chat, what is the pyramid drop down? It is Sanctuary, so they most likely will not kill Agatu in this case. Smoldon. Hitsu taking on Ice Armos with the same bow that he had taking down regular Armos. It will be slightly slower as compared to tstew's fight, who had the silvers here.
Yeah. tstew seemed to have a little bit of decision paralysis there. It's I finally have access to this Moon Pearl. Oh wow, look how much of the world I have access to now. Where do I start? And apparently the answer to that was not Pendant Ice.
We find Blind's hideout. Very nice 5-item location.
Indeed.
Certainly, when you suddenly get a lot of, when the seed opens up, right? In this case, when you got the Moon Pearl, yes, analysis paralysis is very common here. You just bombarded with so many options that you actually just don't know what to do.
Indeed. But picks up that bombos.
So I think neither player has gone up to the rock location, but I think we did see that on the Mire location was either. So even they do have connectors to the Mire area, they still cannot open the Mire area or Mire dungeon.
Yeah, but of course this is entrance, and so the odds that you need those are pretty low. Not zero, but it's not uncommon that that's just a thing that leads to a great fairy or a fortune teller or something like that.
All right, so Hitsu with a hook shot in hand is going to give us the bomb setup of Harapot. It's like.
Oh, well, never mind, because tstew has found and he's found the ether medallion within it.
All right. Does it look like tstew has? But tstew does not have the big key, right? So he'll just probably check these 4 chests and then leave.
So that's definitely going to be a key that we need to find. He doesn't have hook shot. We can clear.
Speaking of which, on Hitsu's side, Hitsu in the big chest of Hera finds the big key to Thieves' Town.
Oh wow!
So when Hitsu gets to Thieves' Town, he'll be able to full clear this dungeon.
Will be very convenient.
To taking down Moldorm, looks like he will choose to do this with Master Sword. As opposed to the hammer, probably safer in this regard. Moldorm did actually look like he was too disruptive here, but still, no reason to not be safe. I believe this is Hitsu's second crystal. It seems like they made so much progress, and yet it's only the second one, because Hitsu took down Moth was a pendant, took down Armos was a pendant, and Landmo, which was a crystal.
And yeah, there's not really that many dungeon clears with everything going on, and obviously with some of them being pendants.
It looks like Hitsu decided not to climb upstairs. That means that he will temporarily miss out on that shovel, and therefore will not have access to the Key of Samaria. So right now, certainly tstew does have that advantage over Hitsu.
Yeah, and that could absolutely come back and bite Hitsu. And just looking at the things that could mess up these runners at this point, it just seems like tstew really needs to find that hook shot in swamp, but he's not far off from the swamp area, or not swamp, skull. One of those.
In fact, he's like, it looks like he's just going right in. So
Yeah,
he'll pick up his hook shot very shortly here.
Absolutely. Like with the combat advantages and just further exploring GT. It's a lot. Just because he didn't have that moon pearl, he was searching much more deeply, and I'd say it's probably giving him a pretty big edge overall in the long term of this race.
We certainly saw him put that Key of Samaria to good use. To get his compass to get in his tower, but certainly that was a lot faster than Hitsu, who had to push and pull the block. It's like tstew's going to get his 5 rupees here, and then perhaps go back to clear the rest of the dungeon.
I'd be shocked.
Or not turn his nose up at the 5 rupees too. That's fine.
Yep, right. Yeah, they don't really need money at this point.
You could buy like 10 potions.
Sure. They can almost do that now. Actually, they can do it now if they just settle for greens. Who wants to do that, honestly?
So with that hook shot in hand, and knowing that Swamp is a crystal, certainly we'll have no qualms about full clearing out this dungeon.
Yep. Speaking of hook shot in hand, tstew now has the hook shot. Meanwhile, Hitsu is taking advantage of his hook shot and going straight on back. It's gonna do.
Looks like he's gonna do the bomb setup. He does not have the cane set up, or he doesn't have the cane to set this up with. So.
Nope. Oh, there he goes.
Easy for Hitsu. I'm actually not sure if there's like a favorite among runners, to do the Samaria setup versus the bomb setup, but I think it seems like they're kind of like different schools of thought. So like people want to learn the bomb setup because you always have bombs, so you don't always have the cane, but of course bombs come with a timer, and you take damage versus the cane where it's relatively low cost for magic and it can be it can be faster, but it's you use what you have.
So I guess that we'll probably find out since tstew has both what he prefers, unless he just pulls a fun shenanigans out of his hat and just doesn't do either.
There's which is it, option A or option B, and then someone chooses option C. And of course, actually, because tstew has that tempered sword, he got out of tile room from the Cane of Samaria. He is going to have a faster time killing Argus, especially in phase 1, because Hitsu having the Master Sword needs 2 hits. He was able to, like pull a couple of puffs and then do a spin, but tstew will just be able to, pull slash if he so chooses.
And tstew does use the Cane of Samaria. It looks like it's a much faster setup, and obviously for all the other advantages that you said with, no damage. Does use up a little bit of magic, and tstew obviously doesn't have that half magic, having not gone to left side swamp. But you're gonna beat Argus pretty easily with your tempered sword, and gonna get that magic pack anyways, so I don't think he's gonna lose any sleep.
I would be curious to see if he goes back to left side swamp after this. It's less common for players to skip left side in cross keys just because you're just always searching for so much stuff. However, it still can be a very viable choice because he does have a lot of options. And left side swamp may not be his as high on the priority list as other locations if he wants to go look after. Oh yes, and tstew putting to good use those silver arrows. I totally forgot that he had them. Instead of using, in this case, the a rod to one side, he just put an arrow and.
Yep. Oh wow. Okay, so Hitsu had found that desert small key, used it to get its sword upgrade. So is now untempered as well, and also has found the big key to Ice Palette, which is actually not nearly as exciting, especially since Ice is a pin.
So, but for what it's worth, if Hitsu decides to dive Ice, at least having the big key is better than not having the big key.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, finally getting to clear mini Moldorn Cave. Taking advantage of those sword beams.
So in Hitsu form, will now be able to get Kiki to follow him, by luring him with some money.
Yep. With that pearl comes the respect that Kiki.
Yes.
It's like, I don't want to talk to you in your money.
I think Kiki only likes shiny things.
Yes, money over bunny.
That is not a useful location. Just found a fortune teller there.
Kiki has swindled you again. Okay, Hitsu is going into the back of Hookshot. Makes sense because we have a Hookshot now. You can see what these other 3 chests are.
I think he already visited Hookshot Cave. I think he's just following the connector, yeah.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
No. I mean, like it's
Yeah.
it's so hard to actually watch both screens and make sure you catch everything that the runners have done.
Oh,
So it's
trust
very easy
me,
to miss
people
anything.
in chat can definitely confirm that I can watch one stream and pay full attention and still forget things that happened 10 minutes ago.
Unfortunately, Hitsu does not have ether, so he will be able to check these locations, but he still can't open Meyer entrance. It didn't look like it was like I mean, of course, tstew having the flute and the Titan's mitts, he will be able to get back to Meyer a lot faster.
Oh, that's true. Hitsu still doesn't have those mitts.
Which was also up top. It's in the GT climb.
Yep.
Oh man, yeah, Hitsu really needs to go back there.
He really does. The best thing that can happen for Hitsu is likely running out of options. But unfortunately, I think that there's going to be some options available. So like diving ice. Like, wow, okay. I didn't realize he was going to do it right when I said it.
It's like you're coaching from the booth here.
There's actually a chance that this might actually be exactly what Hitsu needs, depending upon what he finds in ice, and possibly even if there's maybe something on pad. Because we still have some outstanding keys that we need to find, and there's no reason they could not be down here in ice.
Yes, I believe neither runner has found the pod big key yet. That is always an elusive big key that players tend to hunt for.
Yeah.
TR? Oh no, Hitsu found TR key. The TR big key.
Oh, that's a fun place for it to be potentially. Chat pointing out if pod big key was in validation chest. That would be another one that would be very painful for these two when the time comes.
He has definitely isolated that chest. Of course, until Hitsu kind of climbs GT, I think that Kena Samaria. This could be good and bad because Kena Samaria does end up blocking out a good amount of stuff as well. So it could just kind of shoehorn Hitsu back to GT sooner rather than later.
And it is actually being pointed out now that I look at things more closely. Like most of the outstanding keys actually have been found at this point, or avoided. In the case of Tower of Hera. Actually, no, I guess we have that one.
So I think Tower of Hera big key is required. So it's not required to beat Moldrum to get the crystal, but the Thief's Sound big key was in the big chest, which requires the big key. So that and Thief's Sound's a crystal.
So it does look like right now we are looking for Turtle Rock and Pod big key.
According to our tracker, or Hitsuyan's side, it looks like Hitsu does have the big key to Turtle Rock. You asked me where it was, though. I definitely couldn't tell you.
Okay, so it's just Pod that we don't know
about. We find the other key to Castle Tower that does unlock one more chest in Aga Tower. I believe, certainly at least I know tstew checked on his side, it was the Lost Boots drop down, and I think it was just a red rupee as a prize. So if they choose to, well, Hitsu hasn't been there at all. So when he goes there, he'll find the silvers, and then whatever the second chest is, and I'm sure he'll just bail.
me because it's been 3 minutes and I'm a goldfish. But didn't we find a fortune teller at Turtle Rock?
We found. I don't remember what was at Turtle Rock. I know we found a fortune teller at Pod.
Okay, so that was a fortune teller behind the Misery Mire entrance. So they are finding some very nice upscale locations for these fortune teller shops that just really aren't helping our players. I don't think that we found anything remotely useful so far in ice either.
I also believe you are correct. Is this our first Humpy check?
I think it is.
almost 2 hours into the sea is not something that you would expect.
Yeah. Now, I also don't remember if we've actually checked Dark Bonk Rocks over there.
I believe Hitsu did, but I
Okay.
don't think it was. I wanted to say it was nothing useful.
And just 10 arrows in the much cooler named Dino Head House, as I like to call it. We'll call it the C-shaped house. That's so boring. If you look at it, it looks like a dino head, and that's much more awesome.
The prize itself today wasn't as awesome.
No, it was not. Stu apparently never did dig game, and we'll find.
Yeah, this really makes sense. Because the both players found the Moon Pearl like pretty late, and both Stumpy and the dig game requires the Moon Pearl at least logically. So it's not, I think, as obvious that Stumpy requires the Moon Pearl, but the reason he requires the Moon Pearl is because there are a bunch of bushes in the way before you can get to him, and you need to be able to pick up the bushes.
Right, that makes sense. And the town of Pound Pound, in this case, is actually the town of Thieves Town. Thieves Pound Town. Yes.
Hitsu really showing us the power of half magic and fire rod against full.
Yes.
That pendant, Hitsu's pendant collection is complete. You can now blindfold pet, which can be required. As in, the book. Well, yes, like you do not need the book to pull the pet.
In fact, the book can be on pet.
Can't imagine if that's the case today, but yes, logically speaking, it.
You never know. We haven't found the book yet. It's one of the few things out in the world that we seem to not know where it is at this point. See, just look at that. How is that not a dino head?
It is a dino head.
Head is an eye. It's a dinosaur head. Tstew is unfortunately about to find yet another fortune teller. And starting to exhaust the entrances at this point a bit.
Is going to follow the connector of Bumper Cave, showing us that you can actually bypass that bumper with just a hookshot. You do not need the cave.
Now,
so I think we did see on Tstew's side that he did turn in the Smiths, so he will have an additional purple chest check whenever he chooses to, kind of make his way back to Village Bathhouse. My guess is that he'll probably he probably won't go back there without the Thieves Town big key, but of course, if his options are dwindling, we can certainly see him back there sooner rather than later.
Absolutely, and so he has found the back of Skullwoods, and is at least going to get that. Yeah, he's going to go ahead and clear it. It makes sense. It's not too terribly long to get back here, and it is 2 items since this is a green pendant.
Actually, speaking of which, we haven't seen the green pendant turn in.
That's true, and we found.
Speaking of which, well, we had our hopes raised and then dashed oh so suddenly.
I don't think I actually got that far with raising my hopes yet before, so I feel somewhat cushioned with my fall. Unlike the fall that Tstew's going into the Moth Room of Death.
I like the segue there.
And I hope that you enjoyed the segue because it's over. Because the Moth Room of Death was kind of yawn-worthy.
having temper there, you know, and the fire rods kind of help out, you know, like getting moth outside of like, you know, the upper whatever corners or sides is certainly what makes a very nice fight.
And when you have 14 hearts and red mail, you have confidence.
Psychological and physical safety.
Yes. Okay, tstew had not yet found, done the dark bonk rocks, but found the mire shed with just a bit of trash in it.
Alright, so it looks like Hitsu's gonna make, oh, well, we found King Stew, and then most likely after this he's gonna make a catfish check.
Yep.
Just like in cross keys, catfish is always isolated.
I don't think there's any like mode where catfish is not somewhat isolated.
Actually, that's yeah, unless there's a connector that spits you out right at that dark world potion shop, right? Like, I mean, yeah, this location is just completely out there.
Yep.
And I think other entrances, I don't believe either player has gone to the Dark World shopping mall, so there's 3 entrances there also. Oh, is this? Oh, maybe this is where tstew's going.
Yeah. See, I don't even remember what was in the island at this point, but
I
obviously
think it was. I want to say it's either Harpies or 20 rupees.
Okay. It wasn't worth remembering.
Oh no, yeah, I think actually maybe the lady might be correct. Maybe Hitsu did check these. You're right. After you mentioned that, like I have some vague memories of him potentially doing something like this.
I do remember us talking about like the efficiently getting up here, so yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is definitely something that we've seen.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's when he pulled out the second mire key. How do these brothers keep track of all this stuff? Our trackers. Thank you so much, trackers, for keeping all this stuff, you know, in line for us, keeping us comms, especially me, very honest throughout this entire race.
I'm calm. Am I not calm? I'm okay. Okay. I just had a moment. We're good. So, I was wondering about this earlier. It seemed like we had not necessarily seen as much of Dark Death Mountain. Oh, Hitsu is about to get silvers.
And whatever the second item is
Yes.
that is in Castle Tower. This is certainly something that he will be able to check over tstew.
Yeah, and this is like one of those potential advantages, being able to dive some of these areas. He still needs to go back to GT and fully climb. Or did he? Wait.
He has not climbed yet. This is
Not
small
climbed
key
yet.
to TR.
Maria, that's the big thing. Small key to TR, that's a thing.
Yeah, so up on GT's climb, for those of you who might have missed it, it is the Titansmiths, and then also the shovel, plus which leads to the King of Samaria, plus 1 extra item at the validation chest that we do not know what it is because at the time that tstew climbs, he did not have the hookshot, and therefore chose or was not able to get the last chest.
We are 2 hours in, and that is definitely something big missing for Hitsuyan in order to keep on going in this. Meanwhile, tstew has it. Just needs that pod key and needs to find that Viewstown key. And still also needs to find the Turtle Rock big key.
Oh, are we seeing a blindfold pet here?
Probably are.
Oh, I am excited. Let me raise my hopes up extremely high.
I'm hoping for book. I want to laugh. I want to enjoy this moment.
Aww.
Wah, wah.
Maybe if Hitsuyan had known, well, if he had known what the pet was, he probably wouldn't have pulled it. But at least, you know, maybe he could have, you know, fired off a couple arrows to at least make that pull worthwhile.
I think that Hitsu is now making the right play, though. At least.
Okay. That's. Does he want to do something else instead?
Yes, he wants.
He was certainly going towards a great direction until. I guess he and maybe something else caught his eye.
Yeah. Oh, and tstew has now finally found that big key of Turtle Rock, having is dipping back into Hera. So this is a great play. Except for, yeah. This is
to answer your question in chat, the thief's small key was in the backup escape. Both players found Hyrule Castle, I don't know, some early to mid time, and both were able to get it.
Meanwhile, tstew's about to find that big key to Thieves Town. Which now means that I believe that tstew only needs that Bog Big key.
And to survive here. You know, initially when we said, you know, these guys have psychological and physical safety, you know, with 15 hearts and red mail, you know, perhaps he could flesh his heart a little bit before finding Moldorm.
He all of those pots have hearts. And you're not going to lose more than 5 hearts fighting Moldor.
I'm glad you did not commentate, Kristen.
Didn't actually even need the hearts. Would have gone down to half a heart, but still manages to clear that. And yeah, this is a hunt at this point. Wait.
Hitsu has the pot big key. Where did he find the pot big key?
Roller room, according to chat. I was like, wait, why is he in pod? Wow.
Oh my gosh. That big key was in pod. Oh, in TR. Okay. Oh, I got it. Okay. All right. That's right. He took a detour out to TR, and then I think I caught the map in the big chest, and then I didn't catch what was in roller room. All right. Okay. That totally makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Instead of doing the right thing, he did the right thing.
Yes. Looks like tstew is following right, also doing the right thing.
Okay, this is going to be go mode for tstew in just a minute, and probably not great news for Hitsuyan.
Facing off against Helma with 16 hearts and red mail, and he does have tempered silvers. This should issue. It's like he's just going to choose to slash him to death. Slashes, tempered, 1 silver arrow. Because there is a little bit of lag, I'm not actually sure what this could be significantly faster.
Yeah, but he's dead. And more importantly, tstew has found the big key. Is in go mode. Is very upset.
Yeah.
Because that was something I guess they needed Samaria to get to, but as a cave they had access to pretty early, and so tstew, this is over 2 hours in, has no idea of the advantage they currently have. Probably feels like that was a near last location at that point in a lot of ways.
And he was probably also worried about some like the potentially isolated locations that he kind of like left behind. Like, so he didn't check Last Swamp, and it could have been there. He also didn't check the last chest in DT Climb. It also could have been there. Yeah. So looks like he's going to check I think it's a harmless hallway chest. Is that the last one? No, he's checked the big chest. The big chest in pod. That's right. Yep. He found the big key.
And so, like, the worst thing that Hitsu could find right now is probably like the book. But like, how about more money? Pod was didn't Pod already give us 2 of those 300s earlier?
Yes.
So yeah.
Well, I guess maybe tstew didn't go to the back of the cave because he didn't look like he had a small key into Thieves Town. But regardless, he's going to go mode Thieves Town, which is almost just as fast as not go moding and full clearing Thieves Town, but open fewer chests.
Yeah, so Chad is confirming that since he's in go mode, he just burned the key instead of going up and getting
Oh! Cool, yes.
Yeah, which
These
makes
little
perfect
things.
sense.
Yes, that is I was gonna say is like that actually use because he knew that. I think that's very very like clever, like and just aware of his surroundings, like or like to being go mode. Alright, so it looks like tstew is making the climb, which is very, very good news for him.
Yes, he should be finding out exactly why he is on the trajectory he is, unfortunately, around the time that probably that tstew is there's a couple of things left. Tstew needs to finish pod, that's not necessarily short, and then that's not going to take terribly long to beat Trinex. Yeah. Thieves Town is Thieves Pound Town today. A textbook fight of blind from tstew.
So I thought you were gonna say a textbook Lambo 2 fight from Hitsu because he just cleared Lambo 2 in about the same amount of time.
Very nice. Dueling boss fights. tstew is picking up 5th crystal. And I believe, Laser Bridge was here in Kakariko, I think. Yep. Hitsu,
like fighting those 2 wizards room, he does not have the key to Samaria, so I think it actually does. Most players are kind of used to having a muscle memory there, and so it's kind of interesting to see runners do that room without the cane.
Yeah.
And that anti-fairy really wanted to be his friend.
The only things that tstew has not found this seed was half magic, that was in left side swamp. But is not going to have too many issues clearing out. Trinex, and now 2NX, and now down to Mononex.
And given that he does have the lamp and silver arrows, you know, like he certainly doesn't. He's not under a lot of pressure to get the torch glitch when he goes fight Ganon. So really, that half magic is you know, probably just a luxury at this point.
And Hitsu just found the book. Oh wow, that is going to further lead him astray. Did he not finish climbing? Oh, or was the book at validation? The book was at validation. Oh wow.
Because, oh man, you know, of course, your first instinct is not to go check the shuffle after you get it. Unfortunately, I mean, this isn't going to really set him back on too much because I don't think he is like. Well, hopefully, he won't get too distracted.
Yep.
But, so maybe, you know, if you know, for fans of Hitsu, like you know, maybe like we're rooting for tstew to be able to hover or like to get the validation chest because it may have actually bought Hitsu some more. Certainly, if he had the book earlier, I think he would have chased book locations a lot more.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you find that book in validation at this point of this seed with what Hitsu is still missing, you absolutely believe that that's almost certainly going to be why. Like, why you're missing things. Yep. And but fortunately, he's about to find Thieves Town, which is one of the things that he was missing.
And Thieves Town has no real use. Oh well. Let me rephrase. If you choose to beat blind with the Cane of Samaria, then that cane has some use. Otherwise, it probably does not have much relevancy here. So certainly not having the cane, you know, won't really hurt Hitsu here. I'll just, you know, full clear this dungeon, which certainly will not cost him significant time, if any, to, you know, kind of like grab some too.
Yeah, well, the downside is that, you know, going through this dungeon, like, it's not terribly different between go mode and not go mode. Still takes a couple of minutes. tstew is on his final boss, besides Ganon himself. So there's a good chance that that Hitsu might not make it out of Thieves Town before this thing's over. So that actually means that the book, like, it was fairly inconsequential at that point anyways, but it really might not distract whatsoever. And if you blinked, you missed Helmasaur King dying.
I guess we're just never gonna find out what was in the big chest of Skullblitz today.
No.
Maybe if we ask really nicely for the runners to, you know, after they beat the game, to go back.
Well, we found every item in the game of importance and even of somewhat not importance. So it's got to be trash, right?
You know, Tempered could have been there. But,
no, we found.
Oh, sorry, not Tempered. Buttersword could have been there.
No, we found the fourth sword.
Oh, that's right. The fourth sword was in Desert. That's right. There was a sword difference between Hitsu and yeah, that's right. They both found different third swords.
Yes. I mean, it could be a shield, which is almost trash at this point. Yeah. And
Hitsu, I don't know, Hitsu. Yeah, no, Hitsu's, yeah, you know, you're right though, because tstew has silvers, he has tempered, good, get Ganon down relatively quickly. So Hitsu will probably be out of Thieves Town by the time that, like before tstew finishes Ganon. Maybe.
Ganon's free, and Hitsu still has to go downstairs, get blind, come upstairs, and do the fight. I think tstew's gonna finish first.
No, it's certainly looking like it.
Oh, that does not help that Hitsu does have the small key and is taking a small detour. Oh, and tstew gets the double to start things off.
Man, I'm glad tstew moved in time.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna get bounced off. All right,
And
looks like
there
that's
it
the
is.
last silver arrow into Ganon. Oh, tstew needs to wait for the fanfare, and then cross the bridge.
We all remember the fateful day.
That bridge can be dangerous, man.
Especially what's not there. But GG's
Right.
in
Get your GGs out for tstew, finishing and defeating Hitsuyan here with official ZSR time, I guess, or of 2 hours, 17 minutes, and 41 seconds.
Yep. Meanwhile, Hitsu has finished off blind. And we'll see if Hitsu wants to keep on going or not. But yeah, this is, I don't believe, a best of 3. So that means Hitsu is... Someone's going to unfortunately have to face off with Hitsu in the elimination bracket pretty early. Oof.
So this tournament is a double elimination round. These guys are in the winners bracket, round 2. So certainly both of these, if they either player had lost, they would certainly get one more opportunity. In this case, Hitsu would drop down to the consolation bracket or the losers bracket, and then tstew would advance onto the winners bracket for round 3.
Indeed. So we are still waiting to speak with our winner today.
So early logic or early seed, it probably wasn't like the most kind. There was just a lot of following connectors. But I think once these guys kind of found like their progression, it certainly just kind of blew the seed wide open. Then at the divergence, I certainly don't think Hitsu made any wrong decisions. He chose to go to ice, which had 8 items, so she didn't have the big key, and versus like the climb, right, which had 5 items.
Yeah.
It's certainly very logical. He's still looking for things. It just happens to be that the items that he was looking for happened to be on the GT climb.
Yep. If anything, it feels like, despite the search for the Moon Pearl kind of dominating so much of our first hour or so, that finding it ended up being actually part of the reason that Hitsu fell behind.
It's funny how some of these things work sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like when you see progression, you're usually very happy. It also can depend. It also could be maybe maybe you prefer to have it put off because it could influence like your decisions.
Indeed.
So chasing book locations, unfortunately, I think he just needs to go back to the shovel spot, finding more V keys.
Oh wow,
I hope he doesn't go back for that.
He's chasing the wrong things, and well, okay, go left, okay.
All right,
good.
Get the shovel out. He will find his game.
Yeah, I have no idea if he'll keep playing at this point or not, but he will at least understand what led to what was the final nail in the coffin, so to speak. Yep. He sees it and understands.
I think Hitsu played extremely well here. I mean, you actually watched the execution of both runners. They certainly put on quite a clinic. You saw what Hitsu did very early on in pod and in Turtle Rock, 4 hearts with powder, 1 powder with 4 anti-fairies, twice in fact.
Yeah.
Certainly a definitely a trademark of a very high caliber runner.
Okay, I do see our winner. Okay, welcome to our winner of the race, tstew. Congratulations.
GG's, tstew.
Thanks. GG's.
And I don't know if Hitsu's going to join us, but it does look like he has forfeited and is. So yeah, that was definitely a seed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes you get these seeds and you get a moon pearl and sphere 0, and sometimes it requires like a triple bunny, pathing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That moon pearl was something else.
Yeah. Actually, the thing that's still bothering me is that I still don't think that we saw the logical path to it.
I did get all 6 pod keys.
Okay.
And then the swamp small was in the back of pod.
Yes. But the main thing is getting that, getting the hook shot. So there's something in there, like actually just getting the pearl and getting access to everything to it. I don't know. I'd have to go back through it again. But it was something about getting access to Desert Palace and the chest there.
I got the flute there, but you could get up the mountain by going through Old Man Rescue.
Okay, that's what it was. So going through Old Man Rescue got you the flute.
No, going up Old Man Rescue got you up to the mountain.
Okay.
The flute was non-logic without the moon pearl.
Right. Yeah, but the moon pearl was okay. That was the piece I was missing.
Yeah, that was really stupid.
Yeah, because both of you went about it like different ways of getting it. So the story of the seed overall is that right as you were finishing Ganon, Hitsu was actually just now finishing Thieves Town, and right after that, finally took the shovel that he'd found going up GT much later than you did, and found that Cane of Samaria.
Okay. He found Moon Pearl earlier then?
He did find Moon Pearl earlier than you did. Not much earlier. Both of you were well into your second hour of play before that happened. But whereas he found, like, basically you dove GT right around the time that he dove Swamp after finding the hammer. And so with that hammer, he got the pearl and started doing all kinds of pearl checks. You didn't find that pearl, but because of that, you kept on digging in GT and some other places and found things that he never found for a very long time.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, and so we were sitting here just trying to, like, a lot of it, obviously, like, finding that big Kita pod was your go mode, and at that point, Hitsu didn't have it yet either. We were still looking around. Actually, Hitsu did find it first, but that's when we found out it was going to be in your path and not somewhere like behind a book. Which, for your information, by the way, that book was actually in validation chest, and so you kind of dodged a bullet by not having hook shot when you went up.
Thank goodness. Because if it was behind the book, I would have lost.
Yeah.
I guess I was curious, like, you feel comfortable hovering, or was that just something that that you just like weren't going to do regardless?
I can't hover at all.
Okay. In that case, it was. I mean, it certainly worked out for you here. I think, a lot of your decisions ended up. So I think you also skipped Left Side Swamp. Left Side Swamp had half magic for Hitsu, which he did without hookshot. But in this case, it was more of a luxury item for him, and I think it helped him out when you fight Coldseer. But you didn't even dip ice, right? So like you are, you also saved some more time over Hitsu for that too.
Yeah, another thing that really came in handy is that you when you found Aga Tower pretty early, went ahead and did revival, and went ahead and checked that first chest and got those silver arrows. Hitsu just left right after finding it, and you definitely took advantage of having those silver arrows throughout that speed, and it definitely, showed all the way to the end. Hitsu never went back. No, he did eventually go back and get those, because he checked both our Aga Tower chests, but it was much later. So that was another thing that kind of worked in your advantage.
Yeah, they were very nice early with no other good weapon.
So like overall, like did you feel good? I guess when you by the time you got to Ganon, like did you feel behind at all? Did you kind of like feel relatively good, like with your route?
I felt like climbing the tower was definitely a good play, and that would probably be where he would lose the most time if he didn't do it early.
Yeah, certainly your I would say your execution was very impressive this entire scene. I don't think you like really had any like real mishaps or anything. So I mean, it's certainly just also just a very enjoyable run to watch, even though it was like 2+ hours.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, actually, so how does it feel? I guess to be 3-0 now, moving on to the women's bracket.
Really nice. Was not expecting to win, but really happy I did.
You certainly played very well. If someone told me that you, regardless of your opponent, I think you put on a really good show. Like, certainly, I don't think that anyone can really, I guess, like criticize, criticize like your decisions today.
Yeah, I don't know who your next opponent is. I don't know if it's actually been determined yet. But you get to move on, continue on in the winners bracket.
Looks like it's the winner between Breath and Waterloo. Any particular thoughts for your future opponent?
Not really.
Well, this was quite the hurdle to overcome. There's a reason Hitsuyan was the 5th seed. He is one of the best cross keys players on this planet. So congrats on beating him. It is quite the achievement. And I do not envy who faces off with Hitsuyan in the elimination bracket next.
I also certainly don't envy your opponent either, tstew. But certainly, Jeeves again, like I said, you put on a really great show for us. Really happy to have you seen your race today.
Thanks for coming in this race.
Did you have any final thoughts before we sign off today?
I think no. I certainly give tstew a follow, give Hitsu a follow. These guys obviously have shown their prowess in cross keys. I believe these guys are also just like well-rounded. Like I think you're also in the spoiler tournament, right, tstew?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like they're like pretty much you name the mode, they play it and they're super good at it. So certainly these guys deserve a lot of attention. And thank you so much, Dee Strom, for co-popping with me. It's been a real blast. Thank you, Marinato, for hosting us, and thank you, Jinxie and Valady for tracking for us, keeping to me super honest through the entire race.
Yeah, GG's tstew. Congrats on the win. Also, GG's to Hitsuyan. And thank you very much, Clear Mouse and DH Stone, for doing comms today. Very, very much appreciated. And also, big shout out to Jinxie and Valady for doing tracking. We do have more matches coming up. You can always check the schedule. We are always looking for volunteers because that's what really helps us to bring these race streams to fruition. And we actually have another match going on right now on ZSR2. It is a winners bracket round 2, Incoherent versus Mystic. So I'm going to send you off there. So thanks everyone for joining us, and we hope to see you soon. Bye.